What's conspiracy, folks? Welcome to the show. We're going to talk what conspiracy is and what conspiracy may not be. The very favorite conspiracy these days, which is rolling around, is whatever happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Did he die? They found a body. Was it a body double? It looked just like him. If you saw his body and the unshaven status that it was in from his death pictures, he looked like a homeless person, all bristled and gristled and dead. For 2 hours, guards lost track of him. The video that was maintained in his cell, the Bureau of Prisons, the marshals, federal marshals prison that he was in, was one that's controlled by them. And yet he ends up dead. Well, maybe. His neck was broken. That's the autopsy. Was he strangled? Was he hung? Or was this body someone else's and he was not there at all? 2 hours of video that were required to be shown in his cell went missing. Well, he's got a history before this moment, this final or seeming final moment. He has a history of kind of escaping more difficult situations. What was that? He spent 6 years in a state prison in Florida, except it was only, he had to be there from Saturday night to Sunday morning and check in every day in the morning as having coming and going. And his 6-year sentence was engineered by Alan Dershowitz, a well-known lawyer and among liberal ranks. And Dershowitz knew him from long before and was seen in some of the videos that Mr. Epstein would show for parties. He was a big party man. He got to know people through his teaching at the Dalton School as a young man, the Dalton School being that's a prestige school for people going into Wall Street and everything else. The Dalton School normally required a high degree. Somehow or other, he engineered himself into a job because he was skilled at teaching calculus and higher math, generally, physics as well. And he got his reputation from that school going forward. But the thing he was known for were parties. And there's no real record, if you start looking at it, that he was a big investor for his multi-millions that he had. He owned an island somewhere off the coast, and he owned a $56 million mansion in New York. He had people working for him to engineer his parties. What were his parties? Well, he supposedly owned a 747 jet that could land on a landing strip on the island. He had a mansion on the island. Yet no investments provided him money that would explain all this wealth. So there is a theory that he blackmailed people to gain this wealth. Since his investing skills were never brought to be needed, it figured that the filming of people being compromised with having sex with young girls, and these parties were notably, and in the words of Donald Trump, were notably with children underage, between 11 years old and 15 years old, typical for sex trafficking. This is how they're trafficked today, and they're shipped to Saudi Arabia and resold. Resold, think about that. And again and again and again. It's the biggest business, bigger than drugs, sex trafficking. And it's a recycled business. And sometimes people survive it. Young girls survive it into older age. In any event, he gets caught up in this latest thing. Mansion in New York gets investigated and broken into by the FBI. Films are all confiscated for later trial. And the plan is he's going to be a witness in his own conviction, more than likely. But he didn't do all this by himself. He had 2 different women working for him, one who engineered and pimped for him, and got young girls compromised and involved in what he was doing. And someone who did photography for him of the parties. There's a scene that the FBI showed at the time of his arrest, where he's at a party, and Donald Trump's at the party, Bill Clinton's at the party, Prince Andrew's at the party, Alan Dershowitz is at the party. A lot of big people were at these parties, and the little girls were being assigned their duties to these older people, older men, to take care of them. And the cameras were rolling. The cameras were rolling. The cameras were rolling. Oh my goodness. Oh. So you suppose that maybe instead of being a great investor, he's a better blackmailer. I won't show this to your wife or your family if you give me this or that or the other thing. The island, the mansion, you name it. He has very little record of him making great investments. Not a great skilled investor, didn't have to be. He's much better at engineering money a different way. Not even like Bernie Madoff, faking the value. He didn't have to do it. He knew the value, kept the value. And when he got the properties, he refinanced the property and gave himself free cash. That money was always available because this millions that he was given would only grow like anything does in real estate. And real estate's especially good. A 747, a runway for the 747, guards in the mansion on the island. The guards and the people working on the island reported as saying every time he landed, 100 girls came off the plane, and another different 100 would go back on the plane and go somewhere else. So they were being shipped around, but as part of the shipping route, he would bring along people to watch the whole thing and take part in the lovely activities on the plane and watch it filmed again and again and again. So this was a business. He ends up supposedly dead, and there is a possibility that a body double was used and the autopsy was a fraud, or at least incompetently done. The neck was broken from what? Somebody breaking his neck, or from a bedstead, which is only 30 inches high. He had to hang him off the bedstead. The ceiling was 9 foot tall in the cell. So there is the theory that he's lying on a beach somewhere in the Mediterranean or in the Middle East, in the Caribbean, somewhere where he has a little face makeup, a little plastic surgery, and somebody died in his behalf because there's been no prosecution after his death. What happened to the prosecution? Why is the FBI not prosecuted? This is very odd. Does it prove that he is alive? Does it prove that he died? It's all in the air. And because it's in this condition of non-prosecution, and all the people that are going to be punished by the prosecution, the latest is Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is now revealing he was part of that more than a few times and filmed with him. And now we've got people coming forward against Prince Andrew that he raped them. He conducted sex upon them that they didn't really want. So this thing is starting to smell. But what it is or what it isn't, it's just a way to dismiss it. It's just call it a conspiracy. It'll all go away in the ether. It'll blow up in smoke. It'll go nowhere. But of course, we got an attorney general in the United States who will not prosecute it. He has a history of hiding things that are embarrassing very important people, particularly the president, who's in the films. Donald Trump is in those films. Things could be embarrassing to Donald Trump. Barr, Attorney General Barr, is not going to let that happen. Maybe that's why there's no investigation of the two women that engineered the pimping, engineered the plane flights, did all the business work of managing sex trafficking for Mr. Epstein. Maybe that's why. And so if you've got a conspiracy, it requires people in power to allow that to continue. That's where the questions are. And perhaps that is where we are today, wondering what's real and what's not real. Anyway, so we will talk about this down the road, and things will evolve. There are other conspiracies out there, like the non-investigation of the killing spree in Las Vegas, where the guy shot and killed 60 people and wounded 800 some people, it turns out. And that also has gone away quietly. So there's clearly governmental involvement in non-prosecutions that embarrass very important people. And because it embarrasses important people, it smacks of conspiracy. Thank you very much for your patience and your time. Just chew on those little nuggets if they're worth chewing on. If they're not, spit them out. In any event, I thank you for watching.